Yo, what's up, guys? We have a new ban list dropping today. However, it is going to be effective February 7th, so we still have some time to play with the current ban list. We do have 16 new cards or updated cards. It could be a card that went from forbidden to limited or limited to semi-limited, and we also have 6 cards that are no longer on the list, which means they are no longer either forbidden, limited, or semi-limited, and we're going to see which ones those cards are. Before that, though, let's do a quick comparison to the previous ban list that we have. Well, I guess the current ban list that we have. And if you guys don't remember, there was not a lot of updates. There was not a lot of change from this ban list, and we have a huge change coming up in February 7th. So, well, I mean, without further ado, let's go ahead and see what we got. Starting with the forbidden cards. So we have Arch Nemesis Protos is going to be forbidden now. It used to be unlimited, and I believe this is the card that people were kind of complaining about not too long ago because it has like some kind of synergy with some meta deck. I think it locks you out. I'm not too familiar with this card, and as such, I don't like talking about stuff that I don't know too much about, so I'm going to skip it, and we're going to go to Ava, because I know a lot about this card. So I started playing somewhat competitively in Master Duel, and I mean, it's kind of questionable if you can even consider that competitive because it's a different ban list, but I do know that Ava is used quite a bit with Drytrons, and in general, anything that is very ritual based uses Ava because they get a lot of fucking negates, I will tell you that much. So we're going to read the effect here. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish up to 2 other light fairy monsters from your field and or graveyard. This is the important part. Add the same number of level 2 or lower light fairy monsters with different names from your deck to your hand, except Ava, and then you can only use Ava once per turn, which really isn't that, it's not that hard of a restriction, to be honest, guys. So level 2, you might be wondering, what can you search with this card, right? Let's see, we can do a quick search here. Level 2 and fairy, I think, was the condition, right? So the biggest one here is Diviner of the Herald. If you don't know, Diviner of the Herald is a monster that benefits ritual monsters quite a bit. It helps them out tremendously, and it is used in Drytrons as such. The other one is Herald of Orange Light, and we're going to read this one really fast here. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can send this card and one other fairy monster from your hand to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So basically what people with this particular playstyle or deck did was they would use Ava and this card to negate one of your monsters. Ava's effect would pop off, and then they would get another negate next turn. So it's a really good recursion that, I mean, besides Called by the Grave, you can't really do much about. Maybe Ash Blossom. I think Ash Blossom might be able to negate the activation and the effect. But point being here, and I'm going to stress this quite a bit here, I don't think negates themselves are really the problem. Negates are just really annoying, if anything, but a lot of decks can play through negates. Now, infinite negates is a different story, and there is a way that you can do not infinite negates, obviously, but you can do more than like 3+ negates using the fairy engine, if you want to call it that, with Drytrons. And really, I think that's the biggest problem that Konami's seeing, and limiting it to 1, I think, is a good choice. Personally, I don't like infinite or close to infinite negates. Of course, you cannot never get to infinite negates, and it is annoying. However, the biggest problem here is recursion, and I think that's what they're kind of seeing it too. Recursion is the biggest problem in modern Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Anyway, so let's move on here. What else do we have? We have Imperial Order. This is an interesting one. It is forbidden. We can't use Imperial Order anymore, and if you forgot, it's negate all spells on the field, and you got to pay 700 life points as cost to keep it on the field. If you're wondering what decks abuse this, it's 𝗦𝗏𝗏. Really, that's the only one that has been abusing Imperial Order, and 𝗦𝗏𝗏 definitely does not need any help. Speaking of recursion, that's what 𝗦𝗏𝗏 does. It just keeps getting the traps and 𝗦𝗏𝗏 itself back into the field, and that is not good. Recursion is, again, the biggest problem in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! There is no really stopping recursion besides, again, Called by the Grave, and other cards that can maybe put cards in the remove from play zone, but I still don't think that even that can stop decks like Outlake. I might do a video on like how to fix the meta, and it's honestly really simple to fix the meta. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. I might make a video. Stay tuned, subscribe, etc., etc. Let's see what else we got. We got Synmorg, Bird of Sovereignty. I did not know that's how you spelled sovereignty. But okay. So anyways, it is, I'm not going to read that wall of text. Basically, you can special summon a winged beast monster every single end phase, including, I think, your opponent's end phase. And honestly, that's not the biggest problem. It is a way of somewhat recursing your monsters back onto your field, which is a problem, but not necessarily. I don't think the problem for this card is recursion. The problem is barrier statues. All right, so let's see if we can do a quick search here, because you can summon this guy for free from your deck. And then if you summon that one link monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters that are not wind. And let's be honest, if you're running Synmorg, you're probably running some wind, and then your opponent is like 5 times out of 10 that you probably don't even have a wind monster to go into. There's not, maybe Barone if she's wind. I believe she's wind. However, it really does block your opponent quite a bit. So making this card forbidden is a good move by Konami. Not this card, I should say Synmorg is a good move by Konami, just so it doesn't stop people from playing the game. That's essentially what the combo does for most players. So let's move on to, let's go to limited here, because we'll do semi-limited in a little bit. I'm going to skip Astrograph Sorcerer, but I'm going to skip a couple of these because they're mostly Pendulum. There's some Pendulum monsters in here, and I have no clue how Pendulum... Actually, I do know how Pendulum decks work now, thanks to Master Duel, but I don't like Pendulum decks, so I hate making these like absolute statements, I think is what I'm trying to get at. But I don't see myself ever playing a Pendulum deck, so I'm just going to skip them. Astrograph Sorcerer was forbidden, now it's limited. Let's see, 𝗦𝗨𝗣𝗣𝗥𝗧 was forbidden, now it's limited. And we're going to skip those two, and we're going to go to... Actually, we're going to also skip Destrudo, the Lost Dragon's Frisian, and Fairy Tale Snow. They were also forbidden, now they're limited. Mostly because I really haven't seen them like ever, because again, I just started playing competitive again. We're going to go with Lyralisk, Recital Starling. Let's read the effect here. If this card is Xyz summon, you can target one face-up monster on the field against 300 attack and defense for each material attached to this card. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, add one level 1 winged beast monster from your deck to your hand. So it helps you search level 1 winged beasts. All battle damage you take from battle involving Xyz summon card is inflicted to your opponent instead. So it just helps you live, essentially. I've run into some people using Lyralisk as, again, an engine. People like using that word, so I'll use it as well. And it is kind of annoying, and I think they're just trying to prevent more degenerate plays coming forward from this card. Being enabled by this card would probably be a better phrase. And, I mean, I have no really... I can't really comment too much on it. It seems more preemptive. I don't think a lot of people are using it to its full extent. I've seen some people say that even OCG isn't even using this engine, so I'm kind of wondering if Konami knows something we don't. Like maybe they might be releasing something new that Lyralisk Recital Starling might abuse. We'll see. Monster Gate is the other card that is now... It used to be forbidden. Sorry, it used to be unlimited. Now it's limited to 1. And Monster Gate is an OG card, so I'm not really going to read the effect. But essentially, you can keep drawing or excavating cards from your deck, and only when you have a monster you can normal summon, you stop excavating cards and summon that monster, and then the rest of the cards go to the graveyard, right? So, wow, that was actually probably longer than me reading the effect. I should have read the effect. I'm an idiot. Moving on. I think this is just to prevent people from milling cards, because there's a lot of decks that do benefit from stuff in the graveyard. Drytrons are one of them. They summon the ritual cards from the graveyard. There are some decks that do want cards in the graveyard. I mean, Tri-Brigade also, with Tri-Brigade Revolt, you can link summon from your graveyard, which is pretty annoying. So maybe they're just kind of, again, a more preemptive limiting. Putting it to 1, honestly, I don't see a lot of people complaining too much about this card. It's a little weird. I will give you that. It's kind of random, but all in all, I don't see anyone having a problem with it, to be honest. I have seen some people have problems with this one, though. It used to be this card, Pot of Desires, used to be unlimited. Now it's limited. And if you've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh, you know what pot cards do. They draw 2, but they have like a weird clause, most of them, right? Like this one, you have to banish 10 cards from the top of your deck face down. And honestly, I'm kind of confused why they are limiting this one and not the others as well. Because it does... I've had some duels where people almost deck out because they keep using this card. And of course some other draw cards mixed in. So I'm not exactly sure why they're limiting it to 1. Maybe they just don't want a deck to be too consistent, but in that case they again would be limiting all other pot cards, like Pot of Extravagance, Pot of there's one we got in Blazing Vortex that I'm blanking out, unless it is Extravagance, but I don't think it is. And I don't know why they are doing this, to be honest, but again, maybe it's a preemptive thing that we just don't know too much about. So we'll move on there to the semi-limited. There are 5 semi-limited cards, and thank you, Konami, the Konami gods. A Hero Lives is finally not limited. So if you're not a hero player, you might be wondering what the hell is a Hero Lives, and it is a free special summon for a level 4 or lower hero, elemental hero. Has to be specifically elemental hero monster from your deck, and essentially you have like two good targets for this, right? It's either going to use it on Stratos and you're going to get a free search, or you're going to use it on Shadow Mist and then you're going to get a free search for quick your change, your quick mass change, quick play spell cards. And usually the better option is to go for Shadow Mist, but let's be honest. So one of the drawbacks, and the biggest drawback for this card, I guess the only drawback for this card, is that you have to pay half your life points. I have no idea why this card is not just unlimited. Let's say you do have 3 on your opening hand, right, and your opponent negates 1, because you cannot activate these consecutively if they go off. This card has a restriction where if you control a face-up monster, you just cannot activate it, right? So if you already activated 1 and special summon, a monster is going to be face-up, and you can't activate another one, right? So now if your opponent did negate this, you're already at 4,000 life points. They're at 8,000. Now, if you activate another one, if you happen to have another one, you're at 2,000 life points. Your opponent is at 8,000 life points. And now, again, if it's unlimited and you have 3 in your opening hand and you activate it again, you're at 1,000 life points. They're at 8,000 life points. I just don't think Konami knows math, if I'm going to be completely honest, because this card being at 3 will affect no one. I don't think people would even... A lot of people won't play this at 3. I'm betting 2, I think, would probably be a better ratio for consistency, but 3 might be a brick. And again, you're going to be wasting so much of your life points that you cannot gain back. The only thing I can see this is if you're trying to go for an OTK with Air Neos, which I don't think anyone uses. Also, it's a Neos, so you probably won't be playing it with a competitive quote-unquote hero build. So yeah, I don't know why this is not unlimited, but I will thank Konami for finally taking it off the limited list. As you can see here, that the history of this card is pretty interesting. So Konami does give something to heroes, and it does take something back on this list, because we have Fusion Destiny for some reason going to 2. You know what though? I'm going to take that back. It is for less consistency with Phoenix Sky, because I'm still thinking in Master Duel. My mind is in Master Duel, and in Master Duel, Phoenix Sky is not in the game. So In Master Duel, it's not really a problem, but in IRL or TCG Yu-Gi-Oh, it is quite a problem, and it's primarily not even a problem in hero decks. It's in really good meta decks that are stealing our heroes. They took our heroes, guys. They took our gerbs.
They took our job.
They took our heroes, and yeah, they're. I mean, at least it's not banned for people that use it. I personally don't like using Destiny heroes too much. I like using more elemental heroes, and I try to force it as well. So I'd rather go with Neos Fusion with Rainbow Neos, to be honest, but I understand that Fusion Destiny is definitely the better option even for heroes, because you get more benefits with Destiny heroes in your graveyard versus no benefits with Rainbow Neos and Elemental Hero Neos. Sorry, Rainbow Dragon and Elemental Hero Neos in your graveyard. So I understand it is a better option, but I'd rather use Rainbow Neos because I am not good. Nadir's Servant. All right, so this was unlimited. Now it's semi-limited, and again, I think it's just consistency's sake with Dogmatica. And honestly, I'm okay with it. I don't play Dogmatica. I don't really care. So I'm gonna move on from that one. I'm gonna skip Salamangreat Circle and instead talk a little bit about Scapegoat going to 2, which might be a problem if I'm gonna be honest, because we have some token-based decks, and I think that's why they're taking it off the limited status from the list, because they're trying to sell these cards, man. They just released another token archetype in the Grand Creators. So we got the new archetype, we got Sword Soul, and I'm not even entirely sure if they can use scapegoats, like if they have to use their own in archetype specific tokens, but it's interesting. It does kind of, to me, feel like Konami's trying to sell the new archetypes, and we'll see if it works. I don't know. I don't know why you would need more than 2 scapegoat cards. I mean, I don't even know why you would need 1 copy of scapegoat. I haven't seen any meta deck use it or seen a Source Soul deck use scapegoat. So maybe it's not even. That's why they're taking it off the limited status and going to semi-limited to test the waters. But yeah, we'll see how it does. All right, so no longer restricted. We have Danger Nessie, which has been kind of bouncing off the list quite a bit for quite a while. So nice to see. I think a lot of the Danger cards could be a nuisance, but at the same time, I mean, they're not broken. You know, they're a nuisance. They're annoying. And if you look at a meta deck today compared to a Danger deck, it's just not the same. So I probably shouldn't have been on the list for that long. Emergency Teleport is now finally off the list. So it used to be semi-limited, and now it is off the list. And it's kind of interesting because we just got this reprinted in the Grand Creators, and we did just get a new Psychic archetype. So it kind of, again, seems like Konami's trying to sell the new archetypes, but at the same time, Emergency Teleport hasn't been doing anything. But maybe at 3 it will, because you have more consistency, and it just depends if the Punk archetype is going to be good or not. I think you can also use this with a virtual world card. If I'm not mistaken, it's Lulu. I think she's a level 3 psychic, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it being a 3 is a mistake or not. I'm gonna skip 𝗦𝗡𝗄𝗧 Skull Rabbit, or whatever the hell this guy's name is, and go to Raigeki, because we're not going to spend too much time with Raigeki because it's kind of obvious, like, why would it be on the list? You know, maybe even Monster Reborn. I feel like Monster Reborn could be taken off the list and people would not play it at 3. Like, some people might in some decks, but it wouldn't be that big of a problem. I feel like it's more of a hindrance, to be honest, because it just lets you summon a monster. But some archetypes, the better archetypes have a better Monster Reborn that does more. In other words, like they have a Monster Reborn or a recursion card that might even let them summon from out of play, right? Like from their out of play pile, or it might even let them search and summon from their deck, which is better. And some of these archetypes also have graveyard effects for their in archetype Monster Reborn. So the fact that Raigeki's off the list kind of gives me hope that Monster Reborn will be taken off the list as well. It's probably not going to be a problem. Raigeki at 3 is not going to be a problem because it can be negated, and now you're missing a card in your hand. You're down a card. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out, but I don't think it's an issue with Raigeki going to 3. And now we have also Red Ice Darkness Metal Dragon, which not too long ago, maybe long ago, actually. Wow, look at that history there. It's been limited since 2015. Damn, dude. That's rough, but I did get it in errata some time ago, and it's not the same as it used to be. It might be a problem with Dragon Link, but I don't know. We'll have to see. This might be a problem. It might go to semi-limited next ban list, but we'll see. I don't think as of right now it's not being used, or it's not being abused. So it being on the ban list, it just doesn't make sense. So we'll see how it goes. Skill drain to 3 though. This is this is a problem, and it's only a problem because Outlick exists, and it's only a problem because Outlick exists, and Outlick is really good with recursion. If Outlick did not have the best recursion probably in the game, it wouldn't be a problem. I'll tell you that much. It'll still be good, but it wouldn't be that big of a nuisance. And I think in the OCG is a really big archetype or deck. Is Outlick considered an archetype? I guess it is, right? Because I mean, it's only one monster, but it has a whole bunch of traps that support that monster, so it should be should be considered an archetype. But anyway, skill drain. If you don't know, you pay 1,000 life points, and then it negates every single effect monster on the field, and there's no maintenance costs. You just can't do anything. And I'm trying to think if there's like ways to get this out without spells. Like the problem here with skill drain being a 3 is that most decks nowadays rely on monsters, right? So if you look at a lot of deck lists, most decks, besides like Outlick and like some other decks, that are trap and spell heavy, Trap Tricks, for example, as well, they have more monsters than spells and traps, right? So they try to abuse the effects of their monsters to get their plays out instead of abusing spells and traps. So it's kind of interesting to see that they are making this unlimited, and we'll see if it's going to be a problem. I mean, here's the thing. If it's at 3 and people do play it at 3, they have a higher chance of bricking because they can just draw multiple copies of it. But is breaking with skill drain a bad thing? Probably not, honestly. I there's a couple cards that I would not mind bricking with, and it's probably like Ash and Max C in Master Duel, and probably skill drain, because if they out skill drain, you have another skill drain. You're gonna be down a couple 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 life points, but is that a problem? I don't think so. So we'll see. I think Outlick decks are going to be a little bit more consistent, and that's going to be a problem. We're just going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But I think that's the whole list, right? So we're going to stop it here. Keep in mind that this ban list is not effective until February the 7th, so we still have time to play in a meta where Outlick isn't just abusing and doing whatever the hell it wants, essentially, like Heartman. Well, anyways, that's the video, guys. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and edit this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.